Welcome to the final episode of the Fall 2018 season of Arkansas Wildlife. We've got another great show lined up for you in this final episode. We're going to be doing a lot of goose hunting this week. First off, headed out on a snow goose hunt as part of the special youth waterfowl hunt. After that, we're headed out on a conservation order hunt with game and fish biologists Luke Naylor and Buck Jackson. And a little later in the show, we're going to have some fun at my expense by showing you some outtakes and bloopers from the fall season, as well as some of our favorite fall moments from Arkansas Wildlife. But first, we're headed over to Academy Sports and Outdoors to do a little shopping. Hey, we're at Academy Sports and Outdoors about to go on a shopping spree to pick out the winnings for our 2018 fall season grand prize. One of the greatest inventions known to man for your early season hunting adventures. A backpack to throw all your gear in. Got to have something to put your game in. Outdoor edge for your game cleaning needs. You got to do your scouting, and now you can. Comfort is very important to us. So you're going to get a Mr. Buddy heater. We're all loaded up with our grand prize package. Stick around because we're going to announce the winner at the end of the show, and that could be you if you've entered the grand prize giveaway. Hey, we'll be right back with more Arkansas Wildlife right after this break. Arkansas Wildlife is brought to you in part by Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less. We've done several snow goose hunts on Arkansas Wildlife before, but this was our first youth snow goose hunt, and it was a snow goose hunt held as part of the special youth waterfowl hunt that takes place every year here in the natural state.
The easiest thing to do is just lay there, pick your gun straight up, and shoot.
This was a little bit different than some of the youth waterfowl hunts we've done in the past, not only because it was a snow goose hunt, but this was actually an outfitter that reached out to us, Third Coast Outfitters. It started out in Texas many years ago, and they've moved up to northeast Arkansas to chase the snow goose migration. And so they reached out and said, hey, we'd like to give back and take some young people on during the youth waterfowl hunt on one of our big snow goose hunts.
We'll try to call it right about here, about 10, 11 o'clock.
Pretty cool because the kids got to experience everything from setting up decoys to figuring out how to hide themselves in the field. And Third Coast was great and essentially had the adult mentors that came with the kids, but also their guides to sit there and work with the kids and show them how to do everything, and most importantly, how to be safe on this hunt. This fits right in with what we call our R3 effort at Game and Fish, and R3 is the kind of jargon for recruitment, retention, and reactivation. Recruiting new hunters, reactivating hunters that may have given it up, and retaining those hunters that we already have. And this kind of falls into the recruitment category because we're trying to get more young people involved in hunting. So we actually had a contest. These young people had to have some experience with shotguns, had to have passed hunter education, but we wanted folks that had never really experienced waterfowl hunting. And so the young people you see here that were selected for this hunt fit that bill. We met up early in the morning and headed out to the field, and wasn't the best conditions for snow goose hunting. There was a big flock nearby, but just very little wind, and man, when you really need some wind to get those decoys moving and to get those birds stirred up. So it was a little bit of a waiting game as we got started. And it was just a really tough morning, so we had to do a lot of waiting around. Good thing, sometimes electronics aren't necessarily a bad thing when you're trying to pass the time in a deer stand or a goose field or a duck blind. An added bonus of this hunt were the retrievers that were there, and it's always fun, especially for the young people, to see how these retrievers work. And in one case, they actually got to see these retrievers exhibit what I would call exemplary teamwork. It wasn't the most action we've ever seen on a waterfowl hunt, but there was some action, and the kids did get to burn some powder, and they knocked down a few geese. As we try to get more young people and more people of all ages involved in hunting, it's so important to have partners and the help of private entities such as Third Coast Outfitters in this case. And we've got a mentored hunt program that we're trying to get going. So these kind of hunts are so important. And although, maybe we didn't have a huge pile of birds at the end of the day, there were some great experiences had by everybody and just fun to see the smiles on those young people's faces and their parents, and a lot of fun for us too.
The rising sun tinged the eastern horizon with a pastel glow, painting a picturesque backdrop for this Light Goose Conservation Order hunt on a cold February morning in Lonoke County. The big decoy spread was set, and shooting time was rapidly approaching.
Light them up.
Decoys and sundry other goose hunting gear belong to Arkansas game and fish biologists Luke Naylor and Buck Jackson. These guys spend their days managing the Commission's waterfowl and wetlands programs, respectively, but after the regular waterfowl season ends in late January, you'll often find them in eastern Arkansas agricultural fields in search of snow, blue, and Ross's geese. There was no shortage of birds in the air on this particular morning, but convincing them to commit to the spread was sometimes a challenge. After a quick meeting of the minds and a few adjustments, we were back in business. During the annual conservation order, light goose hunting regulations are heavily liberalized to allow hunters to take as many snow, blue, and Ross's geese as possible. There are no daily bag limits, and hunters may use unplugged shotguns and electronic game calls. In fact, hunters don't even need federal or state duck stamps, just a valid hunting license from any state and a free snow goose registration permit from Game and Fish. The conservation order and its relaxed rules were implemented several years ago in an effort to increase hunting opportunity to try to stem the explosive growth of light goose populations. Because of their growing numbers, light geese have been degrading fragile Arctic tundra habitat. They've also caused problems for agricultural interests on their wintering grounds. Arkansas has seen an increase in both the numbers of light geese and goose hunters in recent years. During the 2017 conservation order, hunters in Arkansas took almost 250,000 light geese, ranking Arkansas tops in the nation for conservation order goose harvest. To draw the attention of wary geese, you need lots of decoys. We used several hundred silo socks, as well as several dozen full body and shell decoys, along with flags, kites, and a pair of vortex decoy spinners. An MP3 recording of a flock of snow geese played over a pair of battery-powered speakers. To maximize concealment, we wore white coveralls and beanies and bunched copious numbers of decoys around us in an effort to blend into the fake flock. With a nearby field holding thousands of real geese, we had formidable competition for the birds' attention. Compared to a field of several thousand real geese, our decoy spread of several hundred looked downright puny. But fortunately, some birds don't always make the distinction. You rarely get to experience the hunt from the bird's point of view. But on close inspection, you can see the rare bird's eye view of a snow goose harvest. We called it a morning with fewer geese than we had hoped for, but there are worse ways to spend a day. Good company, an eager hunting companion, and the marvel of huge numbers of light geese filling the sky. It adds up to a delightful bonus season of Arkansas waterfowl hunting.
We've reached the end of the 2018 season. This is just about the last thing you're going to see this season on Arkansas Wildlife. And if you've watched this show in the past, you know that means it's time to talk about some highlights and, well, some outtakes. We'll have a little bit of fun at my expense. But first, let's look at some of our favorite moments from the fall seasons of Arkansas Wildlife.
It's just too pretty.
Let's go find a rabbit.
Oh, he coming this way?
It's about 29 degrees when we got out of the truck, so I don't know, 28, 29, just below freezing. Cold enough to snow. Wind's howling. You can probably hear that. There's ice everywhere. We probably need our sanity checked to be out here in conditions like this, but man, this is what you dream about.
Oh my God.
Woo! Kill him. If you're a longtime viewer of this show, you know that my favorite type of hunting is duck hunting. So we've got lots of duck hunting highlights, from fields to natural wetlands to flooded timber on game and fish wildlife management areas. About a year and a half ago, I got to do something really cool as a duck hunter who hunts kind of on the southern end of the flyway. It was a great thrill to me to go to Prairie, Canada, to Saskatchewan, and see where our ducks come from and learn a little bit from Ducks Unlimited about the work they do to conserve habitats up there. Another trip that I got to do with waterfowl was going out with our team that does the aerial waterfowl surveys. And they fly these every winter for the waterfowl survey. It's just so cool to get that bird's eye view of what ducks and geese are doing across the landscape. Of course, fall is not just about hunting. We're heavy on hunting on Arkansas Wildlife, but we also do some fishing from time to time.
It's a Ouachita smallmouth.
We had a great multi-day trip on the Little Missouri River where we started really near the headwaters and did smallmouth fishing on that stretch, and then did some crappie fishing on Lake Greeson, which is an impoundment of the river, and then even did some trout fishing on the cold water release tailwater below Greeson.
And there's your final species on the Little Missouri River.
Another one of our highlights has been the many cooking segments we've done with other guest chefs, as well as me doing some of the cooking. You know, it's one of my biggest hobbies is cooking, and there's nothing more gratifying than you know, taking game out in the field and then taking it into the kitchen and making something delicious to eat with it.
Oh man, that is fantastic. The moment of truth.
Give this a taste test here. Ooh, that butter, those herbs, and that walleye. Oh my goodness. Another fantastic part of bringing you this show every week is getting to see so much of the natural state. I was born and raised in Arkansas, and I've been all over, but we still get to go to places, you know, some of the most beautiful places in the state, rivers and streams and mountains, and, you know, just unique places that not everybody gets to see every day. And what would our season-ending show be without some bloopers with me not doing my job well? We do what we call stand-ups, and that's the portion of the show where I address the camera and say, this is what we're going to have on this week's episode of Arkansas Wildlife, and it lends itself to us having a good time here on the last episode of the show.
All right, you ready? Welcome to Arkansas Wildlife. What are we gonna say?
Ah!
God dang it, man, I was almost there. Good focus still. I don't like that. No? Let me try it again. Are you rolling? I don't like that. What was I gonna say next? Our speckled-bellied beast. How did I say many other? I don't know. Yeah, let me start. Okay. Woo! That's not on yet, is it? All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. The only black crows I like are the band. Good? Not at all the way I practiced it, but it works. That was so weak. Yeah, that doesn't sound right, does it? Let's see. I don't like that. That was kind of stupid. We're gonna, you know, I don't know. How was it? The first step this week? That's pretty. One of those will work.
That's it for this week's episode of Arkansas Wildlife TV. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel where you can catch up on all the past episodes or watch your favorite episode again and again. This season's winner of the Fall 2018 Grand Prize Giveaway, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, is Jesse Diggs from Hickory Ridge. Congratulations, Jesse, and thanks to all of you for tuning in this season to Arkansas Wildlife.